Okay, welcome back for our last Monday night couples small group online meeting. We've been doing our little book, and if you've been following along, we're on the last chapter. We're in chapter 10, God's Design for Love, and tonight I have with us the Gonzaleses.
The Mesas.
Sorry.
I took her last name.
Oops. The Gonzaleses. Things end with an S. It's like a sus.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Sus.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump in really quickly. Here we go. Take a vote. It says, do you think love is a feeling, love is a choice, or love is both?
I say both.
What do you say?
I say choice.
Okay. What? That makes sense. What do you
Yeah.
say? What do you say, oh wise one?
I think it's both.
You think love is a choice and a feeling?
Yes, I think it can be. I think it always is a choice, but it can be a feeling at the same time. I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
Why do you say choice?
Because I think at the very beginning when you meet somebody, it's infatuation. You're like, it's all fresh and you're getting to know each other and everything is new and exciting and da da da. And I think like as time goes on, when all that starts to, dim down, it really takes action and effort to stay in love and and grow on that.
I agree. I'm not saying I'm right. I just agree. I agree. I think if it's both, right? I mean, if love is a feeling at any level, and I get the semantics of it that it is, it just feels like we've been in love with a whole bunch of people that you're just kind of in love
Yeah.
a lot. You know what I'm saying?
No, and they throw the word love. I love pizza. I love this. Like it gets thrown out so much. Like you love. Like I feel like love, like actual love in action, is.
All right, let me reverse it.
There's different kinds of love.
Correct.
There you go.
Okay.
The way you
Please
love your-
expound on your different kinds of love.
There it is. Though.
Well, the way you love your spouse is different than the way you love your friends,
And your child.
than your children,
What-
than
why?
your family. There's intimate love. There's
Whoa. Well, we already went over that in the chapter,
Right.
okay? Like that chapter's already passed. Why do you keep dragging us back? But why would you say there's a difference? You don't think there's a common unifying denominator between love, let's say, love with a friend, love with a child, love with a parent, love with a spouse? You don't think there's a common unifying thread?
There's definitely a choice. You have to choose to love somebody.
Okay.
But there's also a feeling. You
got
can
a
feel
feeling.
love for somebody easily. Some people say it comes easy to love you. That's a feeling. It's easier to love some people than to love others. So that's why I say both. You can love some people easier, and some people are harder to love. So you have to apply choose.
choice.
I feel like she
A
looked
lot
at me
more.
strongly when she said that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Let's expound on the question then. So if you are in a relationship and you don't feel it anymore,
Then you choose it.
it's
I think-
it's choice enough.
Yes, it can be.
It can be enough?
Yeah, choice is enough.
So if you choose it,
My face gave me away. My
it's
face
like,
gave me
what
away.
is
like,
happening? Okay, so if you choose it, does the feeling come back?
It could, yeah.
yes.
You agree?
Yes.
So you can choose to just have the feeling.
I don't know if you can choose to have the feeling.
Okay, but
I
I
think-
feel like that's what we just said.
Well, if you
Stop it.
get into a situation where what you're saying you don't feel it anymore, there's going to be some work that has to be done.
Notice
in
that,
order
that
to
we agree and you
feel
guys
that.
disagree. You guys are creatures of like not emotion.
We say we're in love
Everything
with someone.
that you
Yeah.
guys do
You're
is
in
more
love.
of a job For us, we have more emotion involved. So that's
You
why.
think maybe that is that the case? You think that's fair? You think like they just like we don't
No.
need
We are emotional
we don't need the
No,
feeling?
no, like for me, if you had asked me like years back, I would have told you like, oh, it's both or it's an emotion. But I think now, like the more time passes, the more I realize that I'm like, what I think what we do is that like we base it on an emotion and we make decisions based on an emotion and what really makes the relationship work and stick to it is like it's an actual choice. It's like a lot of couples that don't make it and it's based on the emotional part and not because like at some point you stop choosing each other and you
All
just
right.
let the emotions run.
All right, let's go deeper.
Oh boy.
How does Paul's description of love compare with your vote about love? So, how does Paul's description of love compare with your vote? And I'd like to remind you of Paul's description. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud or rude or self seeking, it keeps no records of wrongs, love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices in the truth, always hopes, always protects.
That sounds like choices.
Those are all choices, which is exactly what we said. We said it's both. We said it's
Yeah.
a choice and also a feeling.
Did
It
Paul
can
just
be
leave
both.
did he leave the feelings out, you think?
I think feeling
No.
comes with those things.
Right. You choose those things, and out of those things is a response, a feeling towards the person that you love.
So you guys are saying when you choose it, you get a feeling.
Yes, that's
That's why we said both.
Yeah, but it feels like
Oh,
both
yeah, we
is.
know.
Don't you think it feels like both? I mean, help me out here. Don't you think it feels like both?
Yeah.
And most of the people that I know that talk about both, it's really two separate things, both together, meaning that, hey, I have this feeling, and because I have this feeling, I'm willing
I'm
to
choosing.
make these
But
choices.
when the feeling is gone,
Yeah.
I'm no longer choosing this.
Right.
But that was not your
The feeling.
question.
right. The feeling can come and go, of course. There's times where I'm like, I don't
Wait a
really
minute,
feel
what are you
like I love
saying?
you right now.
I've never felt that way.
Nah.
Sorry.
You've
What-
never
what
felt
do
that way. Like you could tell me I don't like you right now, but I
tell
love
him
you.
that.
She says I don't like you right now, but I do
don't
love
like
you.
But I do love you.
But I do love you.
I don't like you. But
Wait, what do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because I kind of feel like most guys are like this.
Yeah. So it's just
What's wrong with them?
with men.
Them.
With them. I don't know as them. I know like as a society in general, we have this love is like almost as long as you're doing what makes me happy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the second that and we do that with our kids, it's not just in relationships, but it's like, I love you, I love you, love you. Oh, you did this wrong. It's like, we put you in time out. It's like, there's no like, I'm not going to talk to you. Like we do a lot of stuff that is like, the second that you're disappointed or things don't go your way, you automatically shut that person down, and it's like the affection and the love is not there. As opposed to like, I love you, you messed up, but like this is not okay.
Is choice enough?
I think so.
choice is enough. Choice is enough. It definitely is. But you have to choose over and over. It's not choosing one time.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think think about just how broken we actually are. If we're left to our own devices,
A mess.
and this thing comes down to feeling, I think at pretty much any level, we're not going to make it.
No.
But I think when you apply all those things, like Paul says,
Okay.
a feeling comes from that. Like you said,
Right.
like Kat said, there's a feeling that comes from that. It's just you feel more connected. You feel closer to your.
So you guys
Spouse.
you're going circling back. So you almost have to do to get the feeling.
Well, you choose when you choose to be patient.
You choose to do to get the feeling. So you choose to be patient, and that comes with the feelings
feeling
of love.
loving someone comes from making those choices, from living out those choices daily over and over and over again.
Maybe we just don't know that.
It's possible. I was just thinking why we're saying that because we talked about like different loves and like the love for a child. Like I find it like interesting. Like between couples, it's like we should be like the union that God created. Like you do enough, and that person is like, I'm done with you. But then, like, it's almost impossible for a child to do anything that you would be like, I'm done with you. Like, that just came to my mind as you know, because you said different loves. But, like, the love that should come in a union, you know, that God created forever, whatever, we don't apply that to those relationships. You ever thought about that?
Well, as you were talking, I got lost in the first part of your comments because I was thinking you could have a kid, right?
Yeah.
And still not, like, I'm thinking more of adult kids. It's harder with little kids, but you could not like that kid.
Yeah, but, like...
You wouldn't give up on the kid.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you would still love the
That's
kid
choice.
and still choose to support the
That's
kid.
what I'm saying. Like, that choice...
But you may not like them very much.
Yeah, but that choice, like, that choice of I'm not giving up, like, we don't really apply that anymore to marriages.
But it's okay not to like somebody if you still love them. I'm pretty sure that Jesus doesn't like me, but he loves me.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is it's hard to be married to someone if you don't like them.
Well, but there are moments in marriage that you're not going to like each other. That's just part of it. There's moments that...
Took a dry, deep swallow and said, I'm
Stop
like,
it. There's situation, like circumstances, situations, something can come up and they could give you a response or something in a moment could happen that you feel like, you know, I really didn't like that. I didn't like your attitude at the moment.
Your demeanor
I didn't like
is
the
a
way
strong
that
word
you
used for
handle
that.
this or something like that. But it has nothing to do with the love.
What usually prompts that, though? Like, what usually prompts, like, I don't like you right
I
now?
don't like your demeanor.
Demeanor? Like a demeanor? Like the way you look? Like you're just not paying attention?
Attitude,
Attitude?
demeanor,
Tone.
Your
tone.
tone,
Yeah.
your breathing.
You know,
Do you ever feel that
You're
way?
What?
snoring.
But do you feel that way in reverse?
No.
I don't.
I really don't.
Yeah.
No,
I do. Sorry.
very remorseful
But
about it.
do you, like
Sorry.
But
God bless
like if
you.
we polled like a bunch of guys, you think that we'd find some? Maybe we're just are we
Yeah,
the
no,
weird
I
ones?
think
You think
I-
we're the weird ones?
Why do you keep saying weird? God made us different.
Difference.
We're not.
I just
any
find it.
less
I find it
weirder
very
than
interesting.
you
I
or
find it
more
very
weird.
interesting
We're
that there's
different.
this very
Men are
different
different than women.
thing here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to the
Obviously.
bottom of it.
You won't. You're not Jesus.
You're not. You're not the creator. You
I
don't
think
need
I
to
think it's
figure
this.
us out.
What
I
is
think
happening?
I think we care about a lot less that we pay attention to, that we're like focused on than women do sometimes.
Maybe
so
that's
they have the you guys have more opportunity to be upset at us over things that we have done or not done
Or said.
or said, while we're like, like I don't
I'll
really
give
care
you
about
an
it.
example.
Okay, please help
I
me.
come from work
Okay.
excited to come home. I walk in and it's Moody Judy.
Today?
No, not today.
Oh, we're just
Another
bringing
day.
that from the archives.
You know? Today, if you want to bring
Old
that.
Moody Judy.
was-
Can I steal that?
Huh?
I
Can
was
I
on the-
steal that?
Yeah.
I'd like
Judy.
to. I'd like to use
Moody
that.
Judy, literally.
Moody
and
Judy.
I'm like, I'm so pumped to come home and see. And you're like, your demeanor. I'm like, I don't like your demeanor right now.
So let's take that as an example, right? Like if we use today as an example.
Okay.
She's just seeing that she got home and I'm in my Moody Judy.
Okay.
I'm looking at like I got out of work at 2, and I just got home, and like I got home and it's like, you know, I'm talking to the kids, I'm talking to the other kids. I'm trying to get like showers so that when she gets home, the shower's ready. While I'm doing that, I get a call from work while I'm already out of work to call a store to get this, and I'm thinking to myself, I was like. I had like 5 minutes left on this show that I'm watching of the Sons of Sam's, and I'm looking as I'm on
You're
the
the
phone.
one guy watching that, huh?
Yeah. And I'm looking at the screen that I started playing like 30 minutes ago, and I'm literally a minute and 15 seconds from when I started. And I'm like, how is this possible? That I can't finish 5 minutes of something without a million things coming into my life.
Just need a minute.
Yeah, and I'm just like that's what I was thinking while I'm on the phone. Like, yeah, they're gonna be late. I don't know why. You know what I mean? So like, it's not a personal thing. It's just stuff that's happening, and I'm like overwhelmed at the moment.
So you're explaining Moody Judy.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah. Sorry,
But I guess my point was Moody Judy.
but it has nothing to
Totally
do with
get
her.
it. Huh?
Like it had nothing to do with her.
But
or
I'm just
anything.
saying, like in reverse,
Yeah.
like put it in reverse, right? If Moody Judy, like I don't think when Moody Judy shows up at our house, right? And she shows up.
They know who I live with.
All right? She's been known to stop by.
This Moody Judy person.
Yeah, this
you know?
Moody Judy person. I don't ever think, well, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Good for you.
Yeah, let's use that in
great.
reverse. So, not that you're ever Moody Judy, but let's say.
I'm definitely a moody
So,
Judy.
do you feel like I love you less or treat you different in those instances? Or do I like get
You
frightened?
handle it completely different than me.
Yeah, I'm just.
You just stay away. I don't do that.
I don't.
What do you, so you press in?
I want to know. I'm like, what's wrong? Why is Moody Judy here?
I'm going to try that.
No!
Please,
Right.
explain Moody Judy.
Explain Moody Judy.
Why is Moody Judy
she'll,
showed
like,
up?
she-
Please explain it.
Please explain it.
Here's the funny thing. Moody Judy,
Moody
Moody
Judy.
Judy's on a pretty predictable schedule at our house.
Oh!
Then you should know to get out of the way.
Move! Get out the way! Get out the way!
You should pack Moody Judy a suitcase and go on a little break.
Send her on a little spa vacation.
Exactly. That's right. But it's so predictable. Up to your game.
Okay, all right.
played, well
Well played. Touche.
You'll live one day.
Second question. Okay, marriage counselors warn against keeping accounts of wrongs because of the destructive power of such a list. How would the positive actions of love in verse 5 and 7 protect you from this danger? And in 7 it says love is giving someone the benefit of the doubt as well. How well does that summarize verse? Okay, no, that's a different thing. But let's start with the list thing. So, do you keep lists of wrongs? How does that go?
I don't know, babe.
I don't-
Tell me, do I keep lists of
No, you don't. I think that's one of the most important passages actually. Like don't keep like score of rights and wrongs or I just don't keep score, period.
How do you do that?
It's work and like at least for me when I
mean
start
it's work. That's such a pat answer.
such a very no like I know like there's times that you know I may feel like oh my gosh like I just think everybody's their hero in their own story.
Okay.
And you start thinking of all the things that you do, and it's very easily for you not to forget all the other stuff that the other
has
person
done
does.
or the things you didn't do.
Yeah, and then so like take for example like as humans what we do right. So like if you have good moments,
Okay.
the majority of the time you're like, oh, it's a good moment, but then something bad happens, and it's like becomes this this whole big thing that you prolong and you remind and you do all these things with the bad moments and the good ones we kind of shorten them out. You know, I
Okay.
think in relationships it's important to make sure that, you know, and you will slip and you will get to that pattern of like, you know, I feel like I'm doing everything or something like that, to just be mindful and step back and look at everything that the other person does bring to the relationship.
Do you keep a record of wrongs?
I have a Dewey Decimal System of past events.
Before
in
the
case
Moody
I
Judy
need
comes out.
them.
Yes.
Do you think that? I mean, and I'm asking, is that? I mean, it feels like that's exactly the thing that Paul's telling
It
us
is.
to do. Like
Of course, that's why he's saying it is
no,
work.
the words are keep no records of wrongs.
I used to be horrible at that. I used to bring up stuff to her. She's like, "That's from 5 years ago." Like, what are you talking? I'm like, "All right."
I've become very vocal.
Yeah, she is. She'll
In
tell
this
me. And I'm like,
relationship.
"Oh man." I'm
No,
like, "All right, you're
that
right."
doesn't
But I
count.
took note of
No,
it.
but okay, but that's an interesting point. Like, so how do you stop it, right? So if someone in the relationship brings up a record of a wrong, how do you prevent that? Or how do you stop that?
Okay.
How do you curb that?
Yeah, so at least for me in my experience
Yeah.
was I stopped like I realized like she loves me. She's not my enemy, and she's not when something happens. I think that helped me a lot with everything in general. Is that when something happened at the end of the day, I'm like she loves me. Like anything, even if she hurts my feelings or anything, I know there's no malice behind it. And I don't know if that makes any sense.
Sure.
It's just it wasn't a personal thing.
Okay.
I stopped making it personal. Like if she hurts my feelings or does something, I'll be like, that kind of sucked. Like you hurt my feelings, but I don't hold it against her because it's not a personal thing. Like I know her heart.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. So, but it sounds like to me that you're answering the question by saying, I have to do the work of governing that behavior in me.
Yeah, you're responsible for your own actions. I can choose to let it affect me, and then what's the end? Like, what's the the end result? I'm
Well, the end
angry,
result is you're bringing up old crap,
Right.
and then you guys are cycling
And then
back
we're
through
cycling back.
the same old
Right.
arguments,
Like a
and the
broken
same old-
record.
like a broken record.
right?
Yeah.
As opposed to okay, I'm not gonna let this.
Who do you think's better at it? Like, who's worse at keeping records of wrongs?
He doesn't. I don't really think that we do that.
No.
Like maybe at the beginning.
At the
Okay.
beginning. Yeah, it was
he
at the very
definitely
beginning.
Worse than
Okay.
me,
At the beginning, yes, it
but
was terrible.
not anymore.
Okay.
No.
Who do you think's worse between us at keeping records of wrongs?
Well, I don't think we keep records of wrongs. Well, for example, okay. So
I don't
we're
think,
having
for example.
we're having a conversation last night, and you brought up something that you believe I don't think happened. You say it happened, but it had to have been from a very long time ago. So is that a record
doesn't-
of wrong?
I wasn't presenting to something that was wrong.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that is what we do, not bring up wrongs. Use past events or whatever in current, either discussions or
Historical
conversations.
landscaping.
Not
So,
necessarily keeping records of wrongs, but bringing up past things as an example. Sometimes you have to do that when you're having marriage conversations.
you have to bring up past examples as a marriage to what? Prove your point?
No, to work through healthy conflict within a marriage. Hey, when this happened in XYZ, that made me feel this way. So in the future,
But what would you
can
say to
we-
a counselor or a marriage therapist or a married couple who says, why can't you just deal with them in the moment? That's not bringing up the past. Why, if in a moment you're having a conversation about a conflict in the moment, would you bring up a conflict or a problem from a year ago or 5 years ago or 6 years ago?
Well, I think if it's a relevant example where you can learn something from it, but if you're able to deal with something in the moment, then yes, of course.
I just think like, if you've been married for like, let's say you've been married for a decade or 2 decades, you're always gonna have relevant failures in the past that can be
Right.
brought up, but I'm not sure how that gets us anywhere.
Well, I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying that sometimes this example you brought up or whatever, sometimes you can bring up an example
Yeah.
as a teaching moment.
I think
Not
I understand what you're
necessarily
You
a
saying.
felt like
record
you
of
needed a
wrong.
teaching moment,
Teaching
like
moment.
you needed some instruction?
I think when I do bring up stuff, that is the purpose. Not to keep a record of wrong, but to be like, hey, this happened. Maybe it happened again. This is bothering me again. It's not a record of wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing it up for malice or to hurt you or to say you're doing something wrong.
I understand what you're saying. I
Really?
think context has a lot to do with it. So like
Okay.
if you're in an argument and you're like, you always do this. Remember when you did this? Da, 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 da. That's different than saying, hey, remember once upon a time when you made this decision and it didn't end well?
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it and not do it again because I see you're like on the pattern of doing the same thing again.
To think
I
that
just
in a
feel like, what if you just took the Bible at its literal example
Okay.
and you just kept no record
And just said you're about
of
to
the
mess up
things
big
that were
time.
wrong?
But what if it's not wrong? To expect that a married couple's not going to talk about anything in the past is absurd.
No, I'm not saying you
That's
can't
how
talk
you
about things
grow
from the
together.
past.
That's how you.
What do you think?
I'm not saying you can't keep things from the past. I'm just saying, like, what if you just didn't keep a ledger, a record of the moments that were failures? I don't you ever feel like, do you ever feel like sometimes this is a guy-girl thing too? Like, I always think to myself, I know there's something back there. I wish I could remember what you did. And I know you did something that was wrong, right? I can't even remember it, but I know you did.
I know you did, and when I remember,
And when I remember
boy,
what it was.
it's going down.
But I think part of that's just male amnesia. I don't think that's spirituality.
Yeah, we have no idea.
I don't think that's good, like we did it on purpose out of the goodness of our morality.
Well, I think that's
so-
why it's tougher. I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
For me to do that because I tend to remember.
You're
everything.
you're
She's
great
an
at
elephant.
that. She's been really good. She's
She's
I
an
mean,
elephant.
Do I remember seriously though, do it.
No. I don't.
But I don't
You're,
bring
you're good.
things up.
You're good with stuff like that. You don't bring stuff up.
And use them against you or say, you know, on June 25th, 2011, you did this. That doesn't happen.
She knows the dates.
She knows.
Okay.
She knows the things.
Love is giving someone the benefit of the doubt. This is my favorite, like, counseling tool when I'm talking to married couples, when I'm spending time talking about what is the common denominator of all great marriages, is this point, is that great marriages, marriages that are thriving, that people feel like there's purpose and meaning and joy, those marriages have a common thread, and the most simple common denominator of those marriages are that the two people have decided to give their partner the benefit of the doubt. So when something gets said that, like, you know, when Moody Judy comes along or something gets said, it's not, hey, why are they doing this to me? The first thought is, man, something must have happened today that set this off. Guy comes home late from work, it's not, he must be cheating, it's traffic must have been bad, right? The first thought is always the benefit of the doubt. It's not the negative thought and the negative reinforcement and the, how could you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? Why would you hurt me in this way? Why would you, you know what I'm saying? Or some fanciful explanation of what had happened, right?
Yeah.
So how are you doing on that? Loving is giving someone the benefit of the doubt. Do you think you're doing that well?
I think so. I mean, I'm really like, let's say for example, she goes out on a trip or something like that
Yeah.
with to like see one of her friends or something, like
Yeah.
out of town. Like, I'm not the one to be calling or following up like every 5 minutes. I'm like, hey, you got there safe, and just you're there for a reason. Like, you're there with your friend. I'm not like checking up all the time or anything
Yeah.
like that. Or I'm not.
I mean, this question can refer to like over jealousy kind of things, but it can also refer just to like, hey, sometimes when you say in a relationship, you say something or do something or make a choice or an
Yeah.
expansion, and it's like I meet with couples all the time, and their first thought of the other person is, you know, the way he spent money, the way he spends time, the way he does this, the way he does, it's all about, you know, undervaluing me, right? Like they interpret everything through the lens of like, look how it affects me, right?
Yeah.
And
No.
then, so I think that, you know, does that make sense? Like that?
Yeah, but that's where you have to, like I said, like I know her heart. So like, in any instance of anything, I know where it's at. So like, let's say the money one. Like if she's spending money, it's not like she's spending money on herself doing anything. She's trying to like make somebody happy or something like that. Her time, she doesn't take any time for herself. Her time is invested into the kids, into her family, into everything. So nothing she does is selfish. So it makes it easy for me not to hold any
To
of that.
believe the best.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's easy to believe that like she is. So
Yeah.
I don't. It's kind of easy. I don't know how to.
Hey, Judy, how are you doing on that?
Hey, Judy.
I believe the best in you. I don't believe you do things intentionally.
What does that mean? That sounded like a half answer.
I mean, you screw up, but when you do,
Well,
I know
let
that
me
you don't do it on
explain
purpose.
it. I mean, you can believe someone could not be doing something to intentionally hurt you, but it could still affect you.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't like that. I believe the best in you. I don't think you do things intentionally, but sometimes, you know, the reality is something will happen, or I don't know. Yes, I do give you the benefit of the doubt.
Do you give her the benefit of it?
I do. I think sometimes I can be a little bit of a words person. So sometimes when Moody Judy shows up and there's some harsh words, it's like, does she really believe that? You know what I'm saying? You know, like.
Do you
yeah,
keep count of it?
Yeah.
And then-
Well, no. I think you have to. At that point, you have to go. Okay, I'm gonna choose to believe it was just a bad mood, a bad day, like a bad moment, like. You know, surely
Yeah.
that is not like.
His heart. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you gotta know their heart. Like
Yeah.
even if she's in a bad mood, I'm like, okay, like that's
I'm
not
moody
you.
too. I get moody too.
We just
know?
handle it different.
But
Like I don't think of, like I don't think that she's being Moody Judy. I'm like, okay, so I know her. She's not normally like this. something happened that has her stressed out, she's tired, whatever it is. So I'm like, okay, like it'll pass.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I can, to quote like Donnie and like he said, like we're not going anywhere. So like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You're like that, fine, it'll pass, and then that's it. You know?
Fair. Fair. I think that I think once the relationship gets to the place where you no longer believe the best in the person that you're with, you're at a very dangerous marital place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you doubt the person's motives, their heart, what they want, what they're doing, everything, you look at it through the lens, like you are down the road to some real problems. You know what I mean? So I think what I would say to if couples that are listening and working through this book is that if you're feeling more and more pulled towards not believing the best and suspecting that your partner's motives are, not for your good and not for the relationship good, not for the family good, and whether you're right or wrong, who knows? But if that's where you're at and that's how you feel about it, there's a real problem, and you got to start addressing that problem either with your partner individually, or you got to start having some counseling or somebody to talk to, because you're down the road to some real funky stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You don't have to go much further till you're like plotting. It's very reasonable in your mind then to say, I've got to start planning my way out of this. You know?
I think that's what I was trying to say is when you're in that place, whether you're right or wrong in what you think, I think typically there's a lot that has happened in those cases to get to that point.
Yeah.
That for a
like if
person to start
someone's
doubting.
if someone's broken the trust, everyone would love to give their partner the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
But if someone's broken your trust multiple times, that's not doable a lot of times.
Well, it's doable. Everything's possible by the faith in the Lord and the Spirit, but you're right. It doesn't make it very easy.
No, it's a
No.
lot of work.
It's a lot of
If
work.
someone's lied to you constantly or,
Yeah.
their actions have proven otherwise, then it's very difficult to give someone the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what
Or
I'm trying to.
trust their motives, trust
Yeah.
that they are doing the best for the relationship.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, if that's the number one common denominator of all great marriages, and you've already stressed that by bad choices, poor relational practices, lies, whatever it is, infidelity at any level, then getting back to that, it doesn't change. Like all great marriages are defined by that, meaning that you got to figure out how we're going to get back to that. Getting back to that may be very difficult, but it is the goal of all great marriages, or it should be the outcome of all great marriages. And so you can't just say, well, we're going to move the goalposts. We're going to say, well, we've done so much damage, so now the goal is just to stay together, just to
As if that is the goal.
because you'll just make each other miserable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You just make it all.
Yeah, I've met couples like that their goal is just like, oh, we're just gonna sit together, and I think it's great, but at the same time, like if you have kids that you're teaching them broken patterns that they're gonna take to their relationship, it's like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, and I think it's just funny how all of it works together. Like, so we were talking about, like not keeping scores.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that people normally do when they start keeping scores is you start giving yourself a reason and a validation to screw up. It's
Yeah.
like, they've done this, so I deserve this, and then that leads to that person no longer trusting you, and having
It's a
the
cycle.
and having the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. You
Isn't
keep scores that validates your bad behavior. Your bad behavior leads to mistrust. Your mistrust leads to more keeping scores. It's like a spin cycle.
Listen, the truth is that Paul said it best. And if we could do all of those things like he says, then we would be golden. But the truth is that it's very hard for us to do any of those things.
Well, that's probably why he has to say it, because it
Correct.
is
Yeah.
hard.
I mean,
It doesn't come natural.
it just,
The heart is deceiving above all things. Who can understand it?
Above all things.
Above
All
all
right. So, if you've been listening to this and you're in a marriage and you want to deepen it, I want you to ask that question of yourself. Do I believe the best about my mate? Do I believe the best about their motives? Do I believe the best about their heart? And if not, I want you to look at them and say, hey, we got to get to that place. What do we got to do? And let's start working in that direction. And that may mean changing the cycle. We love the fact that you've gotten to join us on this little journey through this little series. We hope to do another series like this. Maybe it's a marriage series. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a series on discipleship or the
Parenting.
Bible or parenting or money or whatever it is. But we hope to get to do this again, and we're looking forward to school starting as the time we'll launch another one. Wouldn't you love to have these guys back for some of that discussion? I know I would, especially old Moody Judy here.
Moody Judy.
All right, so glad you've joined us. We love you. We mean it. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.